So the next thing I want to show you are my scenes. So what are scenes? You click view and you page over. So you see when you click view, it starts on cues, but I want to go over to scenes. And so scenes, you can build different setups for your board. So I have a shutdown scene, I have a start service scene, and I have a praise and worship scene. I have two here because as I build a new one, I don't want to overwrite the original until I have the new one correct. So as you can see, I'm in the process of building a new setup. So I have two praise and worships. And all of the other scenes here are scenes that I've used in different places. Like I have one that I use for another church that comes, and when they come, they have a different click setup. They use the iPad and they separate their clicks. So I have a special scene just for them when they come. And then, you know, I have other things like when we do parking lot services, I have a special setup for that. So this allows you to do special setups and bring your board back to that setup with just a click, all right? So my first scene that I start with on Sunday morning when I come in is the start service scene. So if you click load and confirm, my board changes. And so for this scene, we're not using any vocal mics, no pastor mic. Somebody may want to play some instruments if someone wants to start the service with a song or, you know, with the band playing. Same thing, instruments. Or we may play a track. And you can see I have this MP3 in this scene. So they may play music from the computer to just set the atmosphere. But notice on the action side, the MP3 starts down in the down position because I don't want anything to just blurt out. Always start in the down position. My band, remember I told you my band controls drums and the keyboard or whatever else is coming through the band, through the instruments. That starts down and I have it muted. My vocals are up, but you can see the vocals are muted here. I do have one special vocal mic that I keep up front for the MC or whoever's starting the service. And I also have some overhead mics up front in the pulpit area, just in case they don't have a mic in hand, I can pick them up through overhead mics. All right? My reverb is out, delay is out. Oh, and my main is down. So when Sunday school gets ready to start, I'll bring, or we're preparing for Sunday school, I'll bring up the main. And then if there's music playing, let me start some music. You can see I now have music MP3 coming in, and that's coming in through the computer here. So I can turn up the ease up, and you always want to ease up. You hear that? You always want to ease up. You never want to just blurt it up unless you absolutely have to, because you don't want to like jar anyone or scare anyone or make it uncomfortable. So you always want to try to ease up your sound. Okay? And so if I go to my buses, you can see I also have my stage monitors up and my band monitor up. It's not all the way up to unity or 0, but it's, up loud enough where they can hear up front. Now let's go to my matrices. You can see now I have my main speakers up, my sub, my lobby, and my stream. Everything is engaged. So with just one click one load of the scene, I'm ready for action. I don't have to worry about Oh, starting the stream audio. I don't have to worry about setting the overflow or the lobby audio. Main speaker, everything is done at the touch of a button or at the load of a scene. All right, so now Sunday school is going on, and we'll fade the music out, and we'll usually just stop it on the computer and mute it. And this is our setup for Sunday school. All right, so now when Sunday school ends, what we'll do is during the transition time from Sunday school to morning worship, again, we could bring the vocals down, because now we're not expecting anyone to be doing any talking through a microphone, but we can bring our music back up softly and just let it play, because people will be greeting each other, and there'll be some prayer going on, you know, different things happening. So we'll bring the music up just a little bit all over the building. And so now, once that, so usually about 10 minutes, 15 minutes between services. And so now that we're ready to start the service, we can leave it at the start service time, right? I mean, at the start service scene. We can leave that scene. But now someone is getting ready to start talking. The MC, whoever is leading the service, is going to come up. We're going to flip here, and we have our black mic, which is our lead mic. Our MC mic is still up, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fade the microphone up. When they come up to get ready to start, I'm going to fade the vocal up. Now, sometimes they want you to continue playing whatever song you're playing, and they'll ask you, turn it up, turn it up. And we'll play that while people are, you know, starting to get into it, and we'll bring their mic up so they can start their flow. So now we have that, or either they may say, okay, cut the music. So then we'll bring the MP3 down, right? And so at that time as well, the band may be tuning up, and they may be playing something softly. So then we can unmute the band, and we can bring the band in, all right? So this is starting morning worship. So now we have vocal going in through our MC mic, and we have the band in. MP3 is out. We can mute that. And notice we haven't had to do much of anything. Everything is still set the way it should be. All right? All right. So now, here's a big change. It's time for praise and worship, right? So now we're going to go to start praise and worship. As soon as I see the praise team walking up, I'm going to go over here to my scenes, and I'm going to load and switch to the praise and worship scene. And so now you can see, not only did my levels change, my screens changed. It went from this screen to this screen. So now I have my mics ready. And so now I'm ready to rock and roll. I have my mics on my left, and I have my DCAs on my right. And so you can see it automatically brought up my reverb. So, you know, if they start talking, you may want to bring the reverb down. But if they just start the music and they start singing, your reverb is set, right? You have all your vocals up, you have your band up, everything is ready to go. And notice, when I go back to page 3, it muted my MC mic and brought that down, so I don't have to worry about somebody on the side talking and stuff coming in through that mic. Have all my instruments up. And I don't have to worry about my MP3, because remember, I have it controlled by my DCA. It's down and muted, so that could play all service, and I don't have to worry about it coming into my mix. All right, so I have my vocals going. And so now this is praise and worship. All I did really was load 2 scenes, and service is good. Everything is set. Now you can have a scene for every song, or what you could do is have a snippet. I don't use snippets a lot, not right now. I mainly stick with scenes. So most of the time, if we're changing lead vocals, I usually do it here. And so because we don't have but what, six singers, 7 at most. So if whoever has the brown mic is leading, then I would just bump them up just a little bit to sit on top of the other vocals. Now with the next song, if the lead changed, then I'll just bring that back into line, and then I'll bump up the other mic. And so I'll usually just watch it and handle that way. So let's bring that back down. So remember, if someone just starts talking and there's no singing, you want to ease that reverb down, because it just sounds weird sometimes with a lot of reverb and no singing, or with just someone talking. But as soon as they start back singing, let's bring that reverb up. It just makes the vocal sound much better. And for my reverb, I'm not even using a lot of reverb. Let's see. I only have it at about -25. And then I have a little bit on my instruments as well, about the same. All right? And so let's say that the vocals are too loud. You need to bring the vocals down. Again, instead of having to bring all of them down and remember who's where, because your setup may have your vocals more like this. So instead of trying to bring them all down the same way, remember, you could just bring them down with your DCA and let them sit right in the groove. Or you can bring them up if they're not loud enough. Or you could just bring your band down, and that controls everything that's set under your band. Or if there's a band solo and you want to highlight the band, you can just bring them up and just let them jam out, you know. And then when it's time for the vocals to come back in, just bring them back into line, back to unity. All right? Now, I like to keep my DCAs all set to be perfect volume at unity. I make my, with using my gain, I set this to where it needs to be, but I try to make sure all my DCAs are set to unity. I don't want to add anything by adding sound, or I don't want to cut anything by bringing them down. I want them all to be at unity. And another thing about that, which I'll show you doing your gain, when we're doing the gain structure. You want you don't want your speaker volumes to be down here and as loud in the room. That means that something is not set right. Either your mics are way too loud, or your speaker or your amps are way too loud. Your speakers should be set, I like mine set right at unity. And if it's not loud enough, then I can bring them up just a tad within that five notch range, or I can bring them down. But they shouldn't be sitting all the way up here. You know, that shouldn't be your constant setting, or they shouldn't be all the way down here. They should be here. And you make your adjustments using your input gains. All right? Now your bus, you can adjust your bus as needed, but they shouldn't be too far up or down either. Most things, once you have your gain structure set correctly, most of your action knobs should be close to unity. One more thing with the DCAs. Say something is squealing, the mics are like squealing out of control and you don't know which one it is, you can just, boom, bring your whole, your vocal DCA down, and that should stop all your sound because it's controlling all the volumes for your mics. And then you can figure out, hey, what's going on? You can inch it back up till you figure it out. Same with your band. If somebody's instrument get out of control, you can just boom, and that controls all of my band. Or you could do drums or keys individually. I have 2 for drums because sometimes the keys could be a little low. If you have someone that don't turn it all the way up, you can just bring the keys up to match the drums and the bass. Vice versa, drums too loud, just bring them down. So DCAs are very helpful. I found them very helpful. All right. And say I made changes, you know, and I'm like, oh, see, I just made this change and I don't know, remember where things were. I could just reload my praise and worship scene. Boom. And it put things right back where they were. Love it. Okay. And let me just show you this scene here. I have a shutdown scene. Why do I have a shutdown scene? Because when the service is over and you're ready to get out of here, you don't want to shut your board down like this. If you shut your board down like this, when you turn it back on, and if somebody has a mic in front of a speaker or something, or the speakers are, as soon as you turn your board on, you could get a boo or whatever kind of noise. So you don't want to leave your board, turn your board off like this. You usually want to have everything down and muted or whatever. So I just created a shutdown scene. So now I could just say, okay, it's time to go, load, confirm, boom. See how it shuts everything down? And it's muted for your left and right main, so that's fine. But as long as it's not on. And now I could shut my board off, and when I start it, it's going to be just like this. All right?